how does a Swedish death metal band go from this to this? That's kind of the story of Opeth, a band that became legends and then reinvented themselves and split the fan base in half. So let's talk about Opeth, how they went from death metal into prog rock and why people were still arguing about it 15 years later. To understand Opeth, you need to know what was happening in Sweden in the 90s, okay? A little history lesson right here. So the 90s, that was kind of the peak of Swedish death metal. Boss HM2 sound, bands like Entombed, Dismembered and At the Gates were spearheading that movement. The sound of the guitars is fast, aggressive, nothing like it. Have a listen. The band started technically in 1990, but it wasn't really Opeth until Mikael Åkerfeldt joined them as their guitarist and vocalist, and the main guy, the guy himself. And his style of writing metal was different. It wasn't what people were expecting from metal. But Mr. Åkerfeldt, instead of writing songs that would fit into the Swedish death metal scene, decided to do 10 to 12 minute epics. Instead of wall-to-wall brutality, he would drop in acoustic sections, weird time signatures and so on. Their first two albums, Orchid 1995 and Morning Rise 1996, was pretty much colliding of death metal with progressive rock and folk. And guess what? Nobody was doing that at the time. While these two albums might have not been a huge success, they definitely stood out. By the late 90s, Opeth started tightening their sound with the albums such as My Arms, Your Hearse and Still Life, figuring out their sound. Still Life pretty much cemented their sound in that era, in my opinion. When I think about Opeth, I think about Still Life and that sound. This is also at a time where Michael finally got that perfect balance between crushing death metal riffs and clean, delicate acoustic sections. And at this point people were starting to notice a band called Opeth, and this is just the beginning. Now this is a hood classic. To many people, to me, Still Life. To you, Blackwater Park. Okay? Important Things came out in 2001. It was produced by Steven Wilson from Porcupine Tree. The production was clearer, the songwriting sharper, atmosphere darker, even more cinematic. You got classics like Draper Falls, Bleak, Blackwater Park, Leper Affinity. List goes on. Harvest. Yeah. This was a lot of people's first exposure to progressive death metal. It's a gateway album, you know, how you started listening to a certain genre of music. Safe to say, Blackwater Park was a great success. After Blackwater Park, they followed up with a double album, Damnation and Deliverance. Ah shit, it's Deliverance and Damnation. Shit. So those albums were recorded together but released separately. One album was heavy, one mellow. Like most death metal bands are trying to get heavier and heavier, but no, Michael said fuck that, album no growls, just chilling. With chilling, boy. Okay? Not on my watch, you're not getting heavier. Risk a comfort in silence. So used to losing one ambition. In the mid-2000s, Opeth was in their prime, with releases of albums like Ghost Reveries and Watershed. The 2000s and these two albums were peak Opeth. Nothing matches their songwriting ability, technicality, mellowness, and overall just a good time, man. What could go wrong? Make another banger, let's go. Oh wait, Heritage. Ah, 2011. Michael decided, no, fuck it, fuck growls. Kind of fuck metal a little bit, you know, fuck metal. And obviously, everybody was not happy about the sound, about ditching the growls, about changing their sound. And to be fair, he did give us a little bit of signs here and there. You could hear the direction this band would eventually maybe go in, like Ghost Reveries, especially Watershed. But who thought? Not me, because I didn't know the band. The growls were gone, the riffs jazzy and psychedelic. Some people loved it, called it bold and artistic. Others said this is not Opeth anymore. Oh. So why the change? What happened? It's pretty simple actually. Michael just stopped listening to death metal, and he started listening to prog rock and then jazz later on. But that was not the end of the story. The story doesn't end here. And after Heritage, the sound evolved. Pale Communion, even more prog rock. I love that album. Sorceress started to move back into metal waters. Same with Incada and Venenum. But then we're back, baby. Michael doing the growly thing again. Heavier sound, heavier album. I personally lost my mind. I know people all around the internet were losing their minds about Opeth returning, or Michael returning back to growls. And that's it. That's all you need to know. The growls are back. It is more of a cinematic kind of album, not so melodic. It's not everybody's cup of tea, I think. It's not really mine, but I love the growls. It's kind of a mix of old and new. Heavy, theatrical, and dark like Ghost Reveries or Watershed, but with cinematic ambition of modern Opeth. It feels like a statement, a reminder that Opeth will always keep evolving, change their sound. Whether you're into death metal, prog metal, you cannot deny the influence of Opeth. Bands like Between the Buried and Me, Nelvis Chorus, Enslaved owe a lot to Opeth, actually. Opeth showed you can combine brutality with beauty. They made it okay for metal bands to write 12-minute songs, to use clean vocals in death metal, to do acoustic sections with acoustic guitars. Opeth carved out a lane that nobody else really had. They're one of those bands that created their own genre to fit into a genre. Love them or hate them, there's nothing like Opeth.